On today's episode of IT Unplugged, we introduce you to Steven, our brand new IT consultant at M2 Technology.
At M2 Technology, we're on a mission to make IT accessible to everyone. Join us on our journey to demystify the ever-evolving world of business technology. Are you ready to get unplugged?
Welcome back to the podcast. I'm Brandon.
I'm Steven.
And today I'm really excited, Steven, that we get to talk on the podcast because you just joined M2 Technology, and we're really excited to have you, and for also, some of our viewers to learn a little bit more about you. So would you mind maybe giving a quick introduction on who you are?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I just started M2 Tech. I'm just going on about my third week, so I'm getting acquainted with everything in the company. I've been working with some of our customers right now, so not everyone's seen me just yet. But when push comes to shove, I'm going to be the one you might see. So I'm Steven. I've been in the industry since probably about 2003 in an unofficial capacity. Joined it officially when I was 18, but this is what I've been doing my whole life, and I think I've grown into it pretty well.
Yeah, absolutely. What sparked your interest into into the IT field? You said you were unofficially there, even before 18, so we can tell it's been a long time. I assume you've been into it, but what kind of sparked your interest? What was that thing that was like, this is what I want to do?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I started out just with a computer. When I was really young, we're talking a Pentium 2. I was super excited to get it. It was a garbage-picked computer that my own stepdad gave it to me. So it was one of those, okay, let's get into this. Thing was, he had a password on it. I had to get into it. So I had to full-on break into this computer just being young. So I'm reading manuals and documentation, and that led one thing into another of me just studying computers constantly. So it became an obsession in a way. But
yeah, well, better off for us for it, How old do you think you were when that was?
I would say probably 8, 9.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Yeah, very early on. When I say, around 13, just working, 2003, I was doing unofficial work where I would help out at, friends' houses and all that, and they would pay me. At the time, I didn't know what I was worth, so they were paying me in food.
I suppose it depends on the friend's family cooking. You know what I mean? Maybe it was worth it at that time a little bit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Looking back on several of them, there was a whole lot where it was like, oh man, I just fixed my friend's dad his Excel spreadsheet for a Capri Sun, and it's like, oh wow, I could have charged a whole different price tag for that.
Yeah, like a bag of Oreos. Is that what you're saying? Or,
yeah. Oh, I could have bumped it up. I could have gotten a Costco size bag of animal crackers.
Yeah.
Oh man,
something good like that. No, that's awesome. Because just talking with you, like a little bit of insight. We interviewed a bunch of people for this position, and you could tell your passion for the industry was like really, really strong. And we said that after. We're like, he's like living and breathing this stuff. You were talking about your home setup, and can you just run us through what your home setup kind of looks like? Because I find it kind of comical, but also awesome.
Well, to put it simple, I had an expensive power bill. We're talking higher triple digits, so that was painful. In total, about 3 servers, 2 full NASs full of drives. In total, 140 terabytes of storage. It can be pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And we've got Raspberry Pis floating all over the house.
Nice. Yeah. That's more than some of our customers, for sure. Obviously.
Yeah, I've been told that my home setup rivals some businesses.
Yeah.
I kind of just embrace it at this point.
Too funny. No, we love that. Just somebody that's like really into it and lives and breathes it. So the other thing that really stood out when we were talking to you was your, I felt like it aligned with our culture a lot about just taking care of customers and how passionate you were about that. And, you've had a book of business in the past and stuff like that with customers. So I guess what I'm curious about is, when did you start realizing how important good customer service was in the IT field?
Well, there's always the long-standing trope of, the IT group is unapproachable, they're crazed weirdos, and sometimes you just have to roll into it. You have to figure out how to be a sociable weirdo. And I think I fall into that pretty well.
A sociable weirdo. I like that. Okay. So are you? Do you have to actively like? Is this something you've grown into, or is this something you got to kind of like turn on the switch when you get in?
It's 100% something you have to grow into. I mean, when you've worked in a couple industries, you get a feel for working with people, and then, I mean, just work retail a couple times. You know how to talk to people.
Oh yeah, absolutely. As someone that managed Walmarts for a long time, like there's definitely someone that when you walk up to a customer and you can see the body language, the clenching or whatever it is, or if they're relaxed. I mean, I'm sure it's the same thing when something goes down in a business and you got to kind of read the room and figure out how I'm going to approach this.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. No, there's a lot of different pieces to that, right? So it's the technical aspect and then the social aspect, and I think that's what we were really looking for when I came to our team and bringing you in is that ability to communicate and talk to different people. So yeah, that's great. So what's the, like, as you've been working through this since you've been 18 or even before, what's the most common misconception you think that's out there about IT consultants?
Most common misconception that I would say that's out there is we just sit in a room and we don't do anything all day. Most of the time we're doing things in the background. Most of the time when you're working with an IT staff, if things are working great, that's better, but when things are broken, that's when you're hounding them. So people question, why do we have an IT staff? But then when things go wrong, they're thinking, why do we have an IT staff?
Yeah, okay. That's a tough balance.
Yeah.
So how do you demonstrate your value then to customers, you think? Like what are some ways that you found to maybe to lessen those feelings from customers?
Yeah, in my eyes, being proactive when anything that would be deployed, there'd be monitoring for it.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's an outage or something, we tend to know immediately. And if you know immediately, reach out. I mean, if I get an email at 11 o'clock at night, I'm going to look at it and say, can I investigate this remotely? And if I find something severe, you better believe I'll call you midnight. I'll call you at 3 a.m. saying, hey, this is broken. What's going on?
Yeah. If you're saying it's going to break the business, right? Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Not a password reset.
Yeah. No. If someone's locked out of their computer, I'm not going to call them at 3 a.m.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. No, that's awesome. And I think that's what people want, right? Like, is that proactive kind of approach, because IT can get that rap, I think, of like kind of a break fix thing where it's just, we're just waiting for something to break and then we'll go over there. But you don't see behind the scenes all the monitoring and analyzing that's kind of happening.
Yeah. What I like to do, I like to be as transparent as I can be. I mean, showing people, okay, I got this alert. Like, we'll harken back to my other example. Here's the alert I got at 11 o'clock. It looks like your data center went down. Everything went dark. What went on? That'd be what I'd be calling about.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. So, IT has been evolving and the threat landscape changes. How do you personally stay up on the newest technologies that are out there to protect customers and just to know and be able to suggest, new things?
Yeah, well, obsession. I mean, I'm reading about stuff constantly. I mean, there's multiple articles out there, like multiple magazines out there that you can read for it, multiple news sites. I get a drip feed of everything constantly. Believe me, there's just all the dopamine's just burned out because I'm reading things all the time.
So, Steven, tech is changing all the time, and especially in the cybersecurity landscape. I'm just kind of curious, how do you stay up to date with the newest things that are happening so you can protect customers and then also make suggestions for new technologies?
Well, simply put, just obsession. I mean, I'm constantly reading everything. Get a constant drip feed of different newsletters, magazines, channels that you can follow that have all this information. I mean, there's no dopamine left. It's all fried because I'm reading things constantly, just learning new things. It's an obsession.
Sure.
Just about every day. Some of my main go-tos, I check Hackaday frequently. There's always something in there about like, oh, hey, I just broke into a camera and this is exactly how I did it. Or here's something I found at Goodwill that I turned into a house automation system. And it's like, okay, that's cool. I love reading stuff like that. Otherwise, I like most of the weekly newsletters.
Yeah.
They give information, just programming language specific, along with different open source projects. So almost every day I've got a new open source project. I'm like, okay, that's cool. I want to try deploying it. And that's kind of how you turn into, well, a weirdo with a giant computer lab in his basement, because you're like, oh, I need a server for this, a server for that.
Yeah, that's one heck of a hobby. You know what I mean? Like where you need a server to do something. That's not usually, usually somebody like needs a small tool. Like, oh yeah, I need this to be able to execute. You're like, yeah, I need a server.
Yeah, exactly. And it can add up quick.
Yeah. Well, it seems like you like exploring and, looking at new things that are out there. I'm just kind of curious. First off, how long have you been in IT consulting, right? We looked and it was like since you were 18. So how long is that? Have you been in it for like the last 15 years in that role?
Yeah. I mean, I've jumped around. I've done different administrative roles, software development roles, and basic infrastructure roles, but I've been all over the place. So.
Okay. Yeah. So you've done a lot of different things.
Oh yeah. I've worn a lot of different hats, but in its own way, that's kind of helped me.
Yeah.
Just because I can walk into most industries and at least have a cursory understanding of what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's beneficial.
Yeah, I'm curious, with all that background, what's one of the most interesting projects you've ever worked on? And you don't have to, obviously name a name of who it was for, but like what's something that really was like, oh, this was neat?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say one of my favorite projects that we'd worked on was working in an algorithmic trading firm for like stock trading. And we were trying to come up with new ways to build out our algorithms. So we started working on sentiment analysis. This was about 2016 that we were parsing through websites like Reddit to find opinions on companies and buy and share, options based on their stock, just on a community opinion. So it was one of the most fascinating combinations of technical experimenting and social engineering that I can think of, and it was just one of the most fun projects I've ever worked on.
That seems really neat. Did it like end up? I mean, I feel like if it worked perfectly, you'd be retired somewhere now on a beach. You know what I mean?
There are people who were there who are currently retired on a beach, and they're the ones who, they kind of earned all the money out of it. Yeah. I was just background infrastructure development guy, but if you want something that'll scare you on the internet, just start looking into things like that.
Yeah, no, that is so interesting. Just like looking at sentiment from and scraping all of that data online. That's really, really cool, and probably a once in a lifetime kind of project, maybe, So.
Yeah, well, I mean, right now there are companies that do sentiment analysis as a baseline function of most of their large language models. They just have this information now, and I'd like to think that the projects we worked on helped start that, but I just know someone else found like one of our repos, and because it was open source at the time.
Oh, okay,
So,
I see. Yeah.
I just have a feeling that some of our work had gotten out there, but it happens.
That's how open source works, right? So.
Yeah, exactly. You can't be mad when you see something else succeeding.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. So that's very deep, analytical, complex. I'm curious, like we have a lot of small businesses that might be watching this. What's one thing or one tech tip that you would give small businesses that you think they should be implementing right now?
Security campaigns, any kind of spear phishing protection, any phishing sort. Teach your employees how to read their emails. Make sure that they know where they're coming from and they aren't just clicking on random emails. That's going to put you in more of a world of hurt, and sometimes it can get very messy very quickly.
Yeah, I could see that, right? We always talk about how humans are the main source of a breach, right?
Yep.
So, how often do you think those campaigns should be taking place, in your opinion?
Honestly, if you do them on a set schedule, you're kind of showing your hand, because people are going to say, oh, okay, every other Wednesday I'm going to get this email. Personally, I think you should be doing at least 1 to 2 a month, but you have to do random days for it.
Yeah. So I'm kind of interested in this topic because I feel like sometimes it's fear-based. It's like I've talked to people that are like, oh my gosh, if I click on another bad email, and it like puts the fear of God in them because they're going to get coached out of a job or something. But then there's the other aspect of like education, right? Like you want to be setting your employees up for success. So it's one of those tightropes of like, hey, let's just understand some people haven't had to look for these things in the past. Let's coach them up and get them to the point that they're confident in their ability and not scared that they're going to
Yep.
lose their job from it.
Yep, that's definitely an aspect of our industry that is out there. A lot of people think it's all just fear-based marketing, that there's nothing actually out there, and it's just, big scary IT company is out here to, scare you into spending more money. But this is a very real thing. Like, if I were to buy just a website out there for $20, I could set this up. Just buy another website that's similar to yours, send out an email, and just say, hey, I'm redirecting your paycheck and I need to double check your bank account information. And right there, if you send it off, you've just leaked your information.
Yeah.
So the better that you can tell people of, hey, you need to be suspicious of things, that's the best way to do. You don't have to go full tinfoil hat, but you got to have partial tinfoil hat.
Partial tinfoil hat. I like that. Maybe we'll have to, create something like that. Sounds like good marketing, like a half tinfoil hat.
Yeah.
So, you're kind of describing, the phishing emails, all these different things, training different people. We work with a lot of C-suite executives or owners of businesses that have no real idea of IT challenges, or not IT challenges. They know IT challenges. They just don't know terms. They, you talk about something and they just go blank in the face. We even have people that just go, stop, explain it to me again, and don't be so technical. Stop. You know what I mean? Like in those meetings, and it can be a little tough sometimes. But what are some strategies that you use to explain things that are very technical in a non-technical way?
Well, having jumped around a lot of industries, I've got a fair amount of experience that I can break most things down into analogies. And I've caught myself overusing analogies just in the explanation of things. But I've found that it's the best way if you have to get a point across. I mean, what I was just talking about with crazed sentiment analysis, that can be a very heavy topic.
Sure.
But being able to break it down into, okay, we're looking at a big group and saying, oh, they're happy, oh, they're mad, and making a decision based on that. Better way to break it down.
Yeah. I think it's so important to be able to do that in this day and age, because what people don't know, then they start questioning if you're being genuine or not with the information. Like, oh, are they pulling one over on me? The knowledge is so very important.
Yep. Yeah, having the understanding and being able to convey it, that's always a difficult part. But when you're C-suite staff, you need to be able to make an educated decision. And if your support staff, IT in this case, if they can't help you out, you aren't feeling comfortable about it, you have to do something.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're up on a lot of the news and stuff like that. I'm curious, what's a tech trend that you're seeing for small and medium-sized businesses that you're kind of excited about?
The implementation of newer technologies, things like large language models, they're becoming far easier to deploy. In a very quick description of it, the crazy AIs that you get out there, you can set one at home now. I mean, very minimal effort. Now, not everyone needs a crazy server in order to do this. You can just spin this up on, your kid's gaming computer.
Yeah.
Being able to double check over your entire company's information database just with a simple search, you'd be amazed what you're able to put together.
Wow, yeah.
The AI can put all of this together, and it can put together trends that a person would never think of.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I think I see more and more jobs out there that are like AI engineer or different things like that. I'm curious, small and medium businesses, when they're going to kind of get on. Large businesses are already hiring these people, but small businesses, how they can start leveraging some of those people and those resources in a way that's going to impact their company.
Yeah. Well, in order to leverage it, you need to be able to bring in someone who can do a top-down view of, this is what you have for your data, this is what we can attempt to do, and try to train one of these AIs on it, being able to load it into there. I mean, it might take a little while and take some fine-tuning, but, I mean, you see countless positions out there for AI engineers, and everyone reads an article every day about some new AI advantage that's out there. If there's an industry that people need to be paying attention to, it's definitely going to be AI.
Yeah.
And it's been going crazy for the past couple of years.
Oh yeah, the advancements are insane. I mean, it's made my job so much easier. I'll be honest, that just the small things that I'd have to write a paragraph for, and then I give the correct I mean, you were talking about it, training that AI, so the prompts are already loaded. I mean, this is very small scale, but those prompts are already loaded in. They know my tone, they know all this stuff, and it sounds like me now, and it is creepy, but it is also awesome.
Yeah, it's very effective, and it's something that even a one-person shop, an extremely small business, they can leverage a resource like that to quickly generate work that they may need to do.
Yeah.
So they can continue doing, the proper work, the fun work, and, the menial stuff where you're typing 5 paragraphs of the same thing over and over again. You can just automatically have that created for you. You can focus on the fun stuff.
Yeah.
Just have the AI do the boring stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. More work fulfillment. You know what I mean? Being able to do the stuff that you actually enjoy. So
Exactly.
So I'm curious, you've been in IT for a while. How do you see the role of an IT consultant changing over the next 5 years?
Over the next 5 years is going to be interesting because personally I think a lot of people are making the realization that, IT is not just a crazed old computer guy with a ponytail sitting in the back of an office that you never talk to and you just cut him a salary.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's becoming very apparent that you need proactive support in order to keep your business up and running.
Sure.
Everything needs to be running stable, and as more people are getting accustomed to a stable IT environment, they are able to work more effectively. And it removes that question of what do we have an IT department for?
Mm-hmm.
It's no longer the scary guy who you see once a week just getting coffee, and you wonder, what's that guy doing?
Yeah. No, I love that. Because that plays. I think it personally plays into your strengths as well, about the being able to break things down really easily for people and having that consultative nature, like a true consultative nature, rather than just being the person in the background that does things and oh yeah, I did that. Don't worry about how it happened, and don't worry how it affects the business. It's fixed. It's more. It's a total encompassing thing, and really being part of the team.
Yeah, absolutely. That mentality is one of the scariest parts about IT, when people just say, "Oh, don't worry about it, it's fixed."
Yeah.
In my eyes, that raises a big red flag.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, Stephen, thank you so much for joining us. I'm excited to get you out in front of more customers and have them just really see your expertise in action, and we're really excited to have you.
Oh, I gotta say, Brian, I'm excited to be with everyone, and I'm happy to help everyone out. Any questions, come over. Feel free to ask.
Yeah.